All right, hello and welcome everyone. So it has been quite some time since I did this live stream. So anyway, better late than never. So today's topic is going to be YouTube Data API. So what is YouTube Data API? So let me zoom this up. Okay. So this is the help page for YouTube Data API. And basically see any website that wants you to come and connect to the website, basically connect to the website data directly, right? So they will offer you API. So for the sites that do not offer API, we use techniques such as web scraping, which I have been covering a lot in this channel. So today I want to talk about data API because there are many things that you can do using API and you do not have to go through the process of scraping at all. So you do have to go through the process of streaming like me, but not through the process of scraping, right? So today what we are going to do, the plan for today, we are going to work with a YouTube Data API from the start, from the scratch, okay? So we'll create some projects, we'll create some credentials, all right? And we are going to use Python, of course. All right. So we have some libraries which we are going to install, and that's how we are going to go about it. All right. So the first thing first is how do we access the API? So if you want to access the API, the first thing that we need is credentials. So how do we get the credentials? Okay. Now to get the credentials, what you have to do is, I'll tell you the simple things, right? There are multiple ways to get and create the credentials. So the simplest thing, open this web page, so which is YouTube Data API. So if you don't know, just search for YouTube Data API, okay? So if you search for it, so let me make this bigger, right? So this is the first result that you will see, right? So this is the first result, and that will take you to this API page. Now here you will see some summary on the home page. You'll see a guide. Okay, so this is where the technical document is. You'll see some reference. So if you want to go through, there are many methods which are exposed. Okay, so and you'll see some samples. Okay, now the good thing about samples is it doesn't matter which language you are using, you will get a lot of samples in a lot of languages. So here you will see samples in Go, .NET and Ruby, but in their GitHub repository, they have quite a lot of languages covered already. Anyway, so what we are going to do is we are going to start with a reference page. Okay. Now in the reference page, if you see the first step, it says is that every request must have an API key and or an OAuth token or an OAuth token. So what is this OAuth token? So this is like whenever if you want to log into certain websites using Google. Okay. So sorry about that. So if you want to log into any website using Google, so you see this credential screen, right? So what kind of permission you want to allow to this website? So that kind of screen. So we are not going to go into that direction. We are going to work with API key directly because we are going to write the code in Python. Okay. So you can go to the developer console. So I'm just going to open this page here, right? So this is how the developer console will look like. And yeah, so let me zoom this up, and you will actually see this little bit different depending on whether you are logged in for the first time or you have logged in earlier. Or if you don't want to go through this route, what you can do is you can directly go to console. Let me zoom this up actually. So this is the URL console.cloud.google.com, or you can just search for GCP console. So if you just search for GCP console, okay, come on. So my keyboard is actually hidden. Yeah, so if you just go to GCP console, you will actually reach the same page. Okay, so yeah, you have to go through login and click on console, and eventually it will come down to the same page. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a project. So I'm going to assume that you have never opened it. You don't know how to work with it. So just click on this top portion. Okay. So this is where I have created some dummy projects here. So what we are going to do is we are going to click on new project. Okay. So you can give any name if you want. By the way, don't worry about these warnings about maximum number of projects. You can delete projects on a free plan, right? So even on a free plan, you can delete existing projects, right? So it will take some time, and now the project is ready. So I'm going to click on this select project. So this is the latest project that we have just created. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is let's see what are the APIs which are available. So on the left hand side, there are a lot of things here. So I'm going to click on API and look for enabled API and services. Okay. So let me zoom this again for you. So on the left side, APIs and enabled API and services, right? So let's see what is the page that opens. Now here you will see the list of APIs which are available for you to use. So you'll see a lot of APIs, but what you will not see is a YouTube data API by default, right? So what we have to do is we have to enable the YouTube data API. So the side effect of live stream, I don't have anyone with me right now. So if someone joins, please let me know if the audio is okay or not, or maybe I can do something else. So on my phone, I can just, yeah. So the audio is right. All right. So anyway, so now what we are going to do is we are going to enable a YouTube data API. So how do we do that? Okay. So if you click on this button here, enable API and services. All right. So click on this. So you will see this page where you can search for APIs. So actually my monitor is, anyway, so just search for YouTube, and this is, remember, this is a list of YouTube API. So there are a lot of APIs related to related to UP. Okay, so there are a lot of APIs related to YouTube, and what we are going to do is we are going to go with YouTube Data API version 3. So version 3 has been going on for some time now. So let's see when version 4 is available. But anyway, for now, what we are going to do is we are going to go with YouTube Data API version 3, and let's click on enable. All right. So what it is going to do is it is going to enable this API for the project. Okay. Now, by the way, on a side note, by the time it is getting created, so I actually recorded one video covering the same topic, but I decided that instead of giving you very small pieces of information in a video, because video you have to keep it very concise, right? Otherwise you'll not watch it. You'll get bored, right? So it's better to create a detailed session like this. So if you're watching this session and if you want me to create more sessions like this, so which are actually going to be a long lectures, so I'm expecting around 1 hour. Let's see how long we take to actually write the code, right? So anyway, coming back, so we have been navigated back to the project. Okay, so this my project is selected. We can see that YouTube API has been enabled. Okay, now what we have to do is we have the API enabled. What we need is API key. Now for that, we are going to go through this create credentials button. Okay, so it's on top right side, create credential. So just click on create credential. And if you remember, on the data API page also, so on the API reference, it talked about API key and OAuth token. So again, here also we will have options to what kind of keys we are going to create. Okay, first of all, what kind of data we want to access. So we are going to access the comments. So we are going to try to list the videos, and we are going to try to list the comments. So I'm going to choose this option, which is public data, because list of videos and comments is a public data, right? So I'm going to click next. Okay. Now let's wait for the next screen. So All right, so we directly have the API key. So let's click the copy button. So now we have the API copied. Okay, so I'm not going to click on done. By the way, you may, depending on how you are creating the credentials, you may see this screen, which is OAuth consent screen. If you see that, skip it. We don't want to enable OAuth. Okay. So we are just going to use this API key. All right. Now let's come back to the reference. By the way, some of you have left a comment that even though like documentation is available for everything, right? So documentation is available for YouTube Data API, documentation is available for Python in general, but it's not easy just to read the documentation and to make sense of this documentation and do things, right? It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of research. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to work with you. Work with you is I'm going to work as if I have never worked with YouTube Data API, and we are going to try to figure out information. All right. So anyway, so now we have the API key. All right. Then let's see. So we have many. So here, so this is the URI, right? So this is the URI. So this is the API endpoint. So right click and just click on go to, and you will see that 404, this cannot be accessed directly. So for example, okay, so we have to go to activities. So let's take this, and it is still not going to work anyway. So right click and then slash activities. Okay, and there we go. We have something. Now we have a message here that the request is missing the valid API key, right? So now we are going to hit the correct one, the correct endpoint, but we have not authorized ourselves. We have not sent the API key. So now you'll have to know how to send the API key and all that. So that is going to become a little bit trickier. So for that, what Google has done is it has created one nice Python package. Okay. So this is Google API Python client. Okay. And this is officially by Google. See here, the author is actually Google. So it's the first party library. So what we are going to do, our favorite thing, let's open the terminal. So it's going to open on the new window. So let me make it bigger. You can. Yeah, I actually saw your comment. So I'm just trying to read the comment that Heisenberg. So Heisenberg White. Okay, interesting name. So large volume crawling via Scrapy, like distributed system and a production level of crawling. I'll have to see how much I can show on YouTube. Probably I will have a little bit more liberty to show it on a closed channel. So to be honest, I cannot commit exactly what I'm going to do on YouTube, but I'll do my best. So if you have certain challenges, then you can post those challenges. So, excuse me. So it's easier to talk about, if you are having certain challenges and if you want me to help you resolve those challenges, that is a little bit easier. But, showing end-to-end project large size, that is going to be a little bit different, a little bit difficult. All right. So now we have navigated to a folder. So let's create, let me use my shortcut MKCD. I like this. Okay. So let's call this YouTube API. Let's just call it API. I hope there is no other document already created. And I have another shortcut to create the virtual environment. All right. So there we go. So everything set up. Now what we are going to do is we are going to install this library. Okay, so now it's going to take some time, download, and it will be available. Meanwhile, what we will do is we will go to, in fact, I think I have it noted somewhere. So Give me just 1 second. Yeah. So I had some notes for you. So let me open that. Just 1 second. Did I lose it somewhere? Anyway, so what I'm going to do is let's do fresh Google search. So YouTube data API, GitHub, something like that. Okay. Yeah. So these are the samples, right? So again, this is the official YouTube repository where they have published API samples. And I need to take a moment to read the comments. So monitoring crawl, scaling up millions of requests. Okay. Can Scrapy be scaled up for large crawls? Yes, that is what Scrapy is all about. So if you're talking about a large crawl, that is what Scrapy is for. So, all right. So let me come up with something, and we'll cover that up. Okay. So coming back to this GitHub page, we have samples here, right? So these are, if you notice, these are little bit older samples. Okay. So 4 years, 5 years, that kind of old samples they have, but still most of the things are still going to work. Okay. So let's go to Python folder. All right. And okay, I want to show a little bit a different way. So now whenever you talk about APIs, there will be certain methods which will be available for all the APIs. Okay. So now there are many methods. So the most important or most useful one is this search. Okay. So let's talk about search a little bit. Okay. So using this search method, what you can do is you can get a list of videos, channel, or playlist, right? So the search result is something like this. So actually, in fact, if I've zoomed out a little too much. Okay. Yeah. So I just clicked on this try now button. Okay. This try now button. So I've just clicked on this try now button. Okay. And we have this API Explorer right over here. So we can enter some details right here, or we can click on this show code button. So I find this show code button more useful. So I'm just going to click it. Okay. Now what you have to do is you can see that you have to fill up all these text boxes, and using this, taking a break to read the comments. So Scrapy docs are enough to become an expert? Definitely not. Docs, the only way you become an expert is by doing a lot of practice. So practice. So you have to read, you have to try different things. So yeah, that's how you will become an expert. So even I don't call myself an expert. So I know enough for the things that I have to do. But expert is something very relative, right? So even if you're getting interviewed, you never say that I'm 10 on 10 on Python. It's not possible. You cannot say I'm 10 on 10 on Scrapy. So if you're doing that, you are going to face a lot of problems. So I'm not an expert per se, but if you want to become an expert of anything, including Scrapy, you have to go through documentation. You have to do a lot of practical examples. So a video. Okay. So you're in full form Heisenberg. Okay. So you have a lot of questions. So I'm assuming that you had all these questions lined up, but we did not have chance. We did not have a chance to talk about all these things. So probably I should do more live. Anyway, so you want to talk about what to do with scrape data. Okay. So yeah. So the hint is item pipeline. So whatever you want to do with scrape data is item pipeline. If you're talking about even after that, what you do with scrape data, so I mean, data is data. You can do a lot of things about it. So typically what will happen is you need to think about the purpose of data collection, why you are collecting data. So either you are collecting data for simple things such as leads, right? So probably you're just looking for a lot of people, their contact information, and that's why you're collecting data. So of course, so that part goes into sales team, right? So that part goes to, maybe that can be imported to Salesforce and things like that. But in most of the scenarios, or rather a lot of the scenarios that I like to do is using the data for machine learning. Okay, so that is another way. If we have time today, I'll show you something, right, with the data that we collect. Okay, so anyway, I jumped few things here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this, right? So let's take this code here. So in fact, there are so many things to talk about today. So I have to, control myself that, okay, I'm going to talk about only these things. So I've gone back to this GitHub page and we'll take this search.py file, okay, and we'll change this, modify this, and I'll show you a couple of things. So we have this search method, okay. We have this comments, okay. Then there is comment threads. And yeah, there is members, playlist. There are a lot of things here. So, okay. So there is comments, comment threads, members, playlist. Come on. Right. So there are a lot of things that can be done. So let's try to work in a focused way. So it's always easier to start with a ready-made sample. There is not a lot of Scrapy content available. So that is a very interesting statement to know, because I think there is a lot of Scrapy content available, but the content is not as per my liking, I would say. So that is the whole purpose I make all this content. We are getting distracted. So let's go back. So what I've taken is, I'm simply going to take this entire code. Okay. Now let's come here. So this is where we just installed the only file that we have. So let's create one new file called search or search sample.py. And let's open this in VS Code. Okay, so allow me a second. So having two monitors is good, but sometimes it becomes a little bit troublesome. So in fact, let me open this entire folder. Okay, cool. So new file, and let's call this a search sample.py. Yeah, so looks better. Now this env, so this I would have liked. Anyway, so let's start here. Select interpreter, and I'm going to select this current Python installation. All right, and let's go back. Yeah, so this is the code. Okay, now I'm going to delete few things. So let's see what's the first thing that we see here is replace me. Okay, so this is the one line that we have to take care. So we'll take care. Yes. So this is the developer key or the API key that we just created. So right. So this part we already have. Now there is this a single method. Um, uh, Even after zooming in, the font is small, Eisenberg white. Okay, so I'm going to continue for a minute because by the time I speak and you reply, it will be a little bit delay. So even after a minute, if you feel that the font is small, so just let me know, okay? So anyway, this developer key is something that we have already created, so we'll have to replace it, okay? Then these are the standard thing, no change required here. Now this build method is interesting. So what this build method is going to do is, this method is actually going to create an instance. Using that instance, you can directly work with the API. Okay, so you don't have to deal with the request response or headers or authorization auth. So nothing, you don't have to worry about everything. So this will take care of it. So we'll use that. Okay. Now we have a simple thing. What do you call this? Syntax. So we have a syntax here as well. Okay. So you just have to call youtube.search and then the list method. And this is some data which is being sent here. Okay. Then the execute method. Okay. Now there are a lot of things here. So videos, channel, playlist. So I'm going to comment out these things. Okay. Or let's see, let's leave it like that. So we will modify it later. So for now, we are just going to try to run it, right? So now you can see that this is syntax error highlighted in red. Why? So because we don't see the brackets, that means it is Python 2 code. So if you just want to convert this Python 2 code into Python 3 code, so what we can do is, if you don't know this trick, that is going to be helpful. Just select one word or whatever you want to search. You will see that VS Code will highlight the matching things in a lighter shade. So what you do is Control D or Command D based on your operating system. Just press that. So you see that all the prints are selected, right? So we have selected all the prints and we have multiple cursors. So now, if I type opening bracket, no, that's not going to work. So I press right arrow. So the selection is gone. Now I can press open the bracket and I deleted the closing bracket. I'm going to press the end key. Okay, so the cursor jumps to the end of the line and then close this, right? So I think now this should be good to go. And we have an error because this syntax is also not going to work. So just have to make use of tuple. So now we have successfully converted Python 2 code into Python 3 code. So I think we should be able to run this directly. So before we run it, let's see what it is doing. So if name equal to main, so this is where it is going to run. So parser --q search term. So this is where you have to provide your search term and default is Google, right? And max result is going to be default 25. So actually I know, because I've read the API documentation, I know that the default search result is limited to 50. You cannot go beyond 50. Anyway, so let's leave it like that and let's see if we can get this working. So we need the API key. Lost it. Where is the API key? Yeah, here. Oh, by the way, even if I had clicked done, it would not be a problem. Okay. So sometimes you will see that there is a public key, private key. But here we just have one key on the left side. If we go to credentials, we should have that key still available to us, right? So we can copy this key from here as well. And the good thing is, you know, if you have accidentally shared the key, you can just delete and generate a new one. So what I'm going to do is replace me. So this is where I'm going to paste in the key that we created. All right. So now let's try to run this code. All right. So Python 3 search. Okay. And I'm just going to let it run the default way. So if you remember, the default search phrase is Google, right? So it went to the channel Google. I mean, it just searched for Google, right? So yeah, I don't know. Now this localized, so there is Hindi, there is Arabic, there is English. I don't know. Very. I mean, the search results offer are not useful. So what we are going to do is dash Q and let's search for code recode. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to make it just one step smaller. And you can see that if we search for code recode, which is my channel name, you will see that YouTube API to extract comments. Yeah, so this is the one that we are doing right now. So this is live results, right? Complete expert. And so these are all my videos, right? And what you see in the bracket is video ID. So we will need video ID, right? So video IDs are important. So here you can see that these are all video IDs. So it searched for all the video IDs, right? Wherever the search phrase occurred, it searched for channels. So there was one channel code recode with Upendra. So this is the current channel that you are watching right now. And there is another channel recode. So, okay, yeah, but it is resulting this, okay. Then we have a playlist. So code recode is another playlist and Scrapy for beginners. So what we know now is that it is working. All right. So we got the first script to be working. Now let's do something more useful. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of things. Okay. Now for that, you'll have to give me 1 second. I'll open PyCharm so that I can open one more project on the second screen. Come on. Okay. So it will help me focus on what I want to focus. Just give me 1 second. Shouldn't take long. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering, because I get this question asked very frequently, that which one is my favorite IDE. So my favorite IDE when I'm working with any serious project is actually PyCharm. Okay. So PyCharm, because it is much more powerful and it makes things easier in general because of all the features. But if I'm quickly looking if I just want to have a quick look at any code file, then VS Code is the best thing. But for any serious work, PyCharm, otherwise VS Code. So these days I code primarily in Python, occasionally in some other languages, but primarily in Python. One more thing, by the time that file I want to open is opening. So one more thing that I can say is if you are not comfortable with Python, don't worry. Python was never my first language. So if you don't know Python, or if you don't know any programming language, Python is obviously the best language to begin with. If you know any other programming, what did I say? So let me come back to what I was saying is, if you have never written code, if you don't know any programming language, the first language that you should learn is Python. Simple. Okay. And if you know any other programming language, you can come back to Python. So Heisenberg, thank you so much. So actually it's a delight, when I get to talk to you as in like all the viewers. So it's actually a delight. All right. So what I want to show you today is, let me create a new file. Okay. Let's call this was search sample. So let's call this search. Okay. Now we are going to copy paste some of the code here. So argparse is not something I need. Handling this HTTP error separately. This is also okay. Let me copy everything till this point. Okay. And I'm going to paste it here. Okay. I'm not interested in handling HTTP errors separately. So I'm going to remove it. Okay. And let's, instead of calling it YouTube search, let's call this get YouTube. Okay. And then return YouTube. So what this function will do is it will create an instance of the API. So I keep saying instance of the API. No, you cannot create an instance of the API. So it is just going to create an object that will make my life easier. All right. So it's just going to give me an access to the API using standard Python object. So this also I'm going to put it inside it, because outside this function, these things are not important. Let me take care of formatting. So whenever I call this get YouTube, it is going to return an instance of YouTube API, which I can work with. Okay. If now, what is the first thing that we should do? See, let's go to my channel. Okay. So this is my channel, right? So right now, if you look at the URL, you can already see that this strange thing. So this is the channel ID. Remember, we looked at the video ID and we looked at the channel ID. So taking a break to read the comment. No, it's not possible. Or rather, I am not aware of any method that will be possible. The reason is every site will have, okay, so let me repeat the question for those of you who are not reading the chat. So Heisenberg is asking, can we write a generalized Scrapy spider that can work with all e-commerce sites? So no, it is not possible, because every site will have a different markup, right? So Scrapy can read text from the site only if it knows the markup. So you need to have CSS selectors or XPath selectors ready. So you cannot have one spider that can take care of all the sites. It's not possible. But what is possible is probably what you can do is you can limit the number of websites that you want to support in one spider. So let's say that you want to support only Amazon and any like couple of sites, right? So what you can do is you can limit your spider to certain few specific sites. You can have your selectors stored in a separate file and in your method. So what you will see, like in your spider, what you will see is you will check what is the domain name. So if the domain is amazon.com, let's say, so you will go and read that file which contains all the XPaths or CSS selector for Amazon, use that and read the data. So like you can make it general purpose, but you have to stop or rather limit your spider to specific websites. What I would say is it is easier to group the websites. For example, what you can do is all the Shopify websites, they work the same way, right? They have the same markup. Not necessarily they have the same markup, but there are ways. So probably I'll make some video on Shopify as well if I have not yet made. So like basically the idea is that it is possible to write one spider that can handle all Shopify websites. Yes, it is possible. But it is not possible to write a spider that can handle Amazon, eBay, and Shopify websites all together in one go, unless you write the XPaths specifically. So yeah, so that is the answer. Oh, by the way, if you talk about sites like Octopars, and there are many sites, right? So they will also limit the XPath and spiders to certain websites. They will also have some limitation. So obviously, because those companies are doing primarily, that is their only business, so they expand their support, right? Okay, so you want to know You want to know advanced web scraping tips and tricks. So, you know what? Actually, yeah, I like to talk about advanced tips and tricks. There is no doubt about that, right? So I do love to talk about advanced tips and tricks. So let's see. In fact, I have covered some of them. So let's talk about those. So basically, see, the idea is that you learn a lot of things and then you club them together, right? So, for example, yeah, how to use Scrapy and Selenium. This is one idea, right? So then this one hidden in a cookie. So if you want to look for tokens which are hidden, how you can do that? So it's here. And if you want to export to XLSX, this is one video, but you can modify this video. You can use the basic concepts like how to use item loaders, and you can use this to apply this to any other format where you want to export data to, right? So of course, you learn the basic concepts. It's every website and every scenario will have a different challenge. So keep posting comments because your comments in general give me ideas, right? So if I have ideas, I'll create more content for you. Okay, so I've lost track. Right. So I was talking about the channel ID. So if I like, so right now, if you go and look at, I've zoomed in a little too much. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to zoom into. So right now you can see that this is youtube.com/c/code recode. So right now we don't see the actual channel ID. So what you can do is open any of the video. Yeah, this live, for example, doesn't matter. Now you click on this channel name here. So if you click on channel name here, the address bar will always have this channel ID. So take a note of this channel ID. Okay. So this is what we need. Okay. So this is also something that I'm going to channel ID. I'm going to store it here because I'm going to work with this channel in particular. Last it, Control C, Command C, Control C. Okay, it's a pleasure answering all the questions. Okay, so even if I'm not able to cover some questions in this video, I'll try to cover them in the next ones. All right, so now we know how to create an instance of the YouTube API. Okay, now let's move one step further and let's try to search for some videos. Okay, so I'm going to write thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to pronounce your name. It's J Pignol. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. So thank you for watching my videos, and please continue to do so because I intend to continue creating these videos. All right. So what we are going to do is let's give it a name. So search videos. So let's call this search video. So what I want to do is I want to search all the videos for a particular channel ID. Okay. So for a particular channel, I want to get a list of all the videos. So this is what I want to do. Now for this, the method that we are going to use is this search. So let's come here and let's see. Let's try to find some useful information. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm not missing on any of the, yeah. So see, I did not even realize that if I enable my preview here, I'm actually hiding this execute and show code, these buttons. So I have to disappear if I want to show this execute and show code. Anyway, so I don't want OAuth, and then I click on show code, and then I click on Python. So this is the Python sample. Okay, now they are using the JSON secret file, so that is not required because we are not working with OAuth. So this line is not required, this is not required, this is not required because we are working with the API key directly, right? But still, let's see. So yeah, so there are so many things I want to talk about. Let's see how many things we can cover. So what we are going to do is actually we are going to talk about only the searching of the videos. So for search, what we want to do is we want to execute this search list method. Okay, now what are the things that it will need? So if you look at the right side, you will see that it needs a part, like what part you want to search for. So we are going to search for the snippet. So snippet is going to contain all the key information. Then the channel ID, right? So we just determine the channel ID for my own channel. Did I close it? No, I did not close it. So this is the channel ID. So I'm going to paste this channel ID. Okay, so we'll be searching only my videos. Now, after that, the next thing that we want to do is we want to specify what, let's see, what are the other things that we can specify. So let's execute it just like that. Okay, so I want to uncheck OAuth and let's execute this. I did not provide so this is the result. So you see, so this is the kind of result that you will get. Okay, so we are getting, okay, so let me try to zoom in. So let me try to zoom in a way that is helpful. Yeah, should be helpful now. So this is the result, and we can see that we have this response back from search. It is resulting in item collection, which contains each video. So this is the search result, which contains a video with this video ID, which contains this title, Scrapy and Selenium. We just saw that actually, right? So Scrapy is fast and powerful. So this is the description. We have the thumbnails, right? So we have the exact image which contains the thumbnail. So if I copy. Anyway, so if I go to that page, we'll see that. Okay, so zoomed in a little bit. So I'm not going to change it for now. So we can see that we'll get a collection of videos. So we are going to use this one. So let's click on show code and let's go to Python. Okay, so let's see, hopefully it has pre-filled. Yeah, so it has pre-filled these two things. So this is the part. Okay, so let's take this part. I'm going to Control C. So I know it's not going to be visible very much, but this is the part from the sample that I'm going to copy. Okay, and let's go to here. Let's go here, and I'm going to paste it here. Right now, where is this YouTube? So this YouTube is something that we are going to get from this get YouTube function. So this is my YouTube. Then we are going to call this, okay, request, and then we are simply going to print this. Okay, we need to call request.execute method. So yeah, so response is actually request.execute and then print response. So I'm going to take a shortcut here. Okay, lazy. So I'm becoming lazy. So just channel ID is also, I'm going to leave it like that. In fact, let's skip creating the function as well, just so that our video is shorter. Yeah. So let's run this and let's see if we are getting the result. And yes, we are getting the result. One more tip for you, in case you want to, print this nicely. So what you can do is you can import one pretty print or p print from the module p print. Okay, so this is something which is bundled. It does not require a separate installation, and I'm just going to replace this p print instead of print, and let's see. Now you can see that it is nicely formatted. Okay, so this is still JSON, but it is nicely formatted. So in some of the scenarios when you want to have it nicely formatted, this can be a good option. And there are few more parameters that we can specify. So for example, we can see that we are only looking for videos. Okay, so we are not looking for the playlist or the channel or nothing like that. Okay, so that is, this additional information is also something that we can provide. Now the next thing is that we need to filter out. So we have a lot of contents, right? So how do we filter out this content? So for that, what we are going to do is, just give me 1 second. So here we saw that all the information is inside this item, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to run a loop over items response, and inside response we are going to run a loop over items. Okay, so for item in items, so this is the loop that we are going to run. So now what we want to do is we want to print the video title, right? So we want to print the video title. So where is the video title? So the video title is inside snippet, inside title. Okay, so let's take the title, and the title is going to be in item and snippet, and then title. So this is my video title. All right, and the next thing that I also need is video ID. Now where is the video ID? So video ID is, let me find the video ID. So I'm just trying to find exactly. So video ID is here. So video ID is inside ID and then video ID. So that is also something we need. And why we need that? Because we are going to look for the comments. So if we want to get the comments, we need video ID, right? So this is my video ID, and let's print it. So we are going to print the title and video ID. Okay, so let's run this code. Okay, video ID, was it not video ID? Yeah, should be copy pasting. So this is not video underscore ID. This is a video ID like this. So there we go. So now we have the videos and their IDs. Okay, but there are very few videos, so we are not getting the complete result, right? So why we are not getting the complete result? So let's see why we are not getting the complete results. So what if we say max results, was it the one? So let's set it to 50. Let's run this code again. Yeah, so now we are getting a lot more results. So now we have 50 videos. So I'm not sure it. Okay, so for we will not have time to cover the pagination part, but still, so pagination will require some reading from your side. Okay, so we'll see pagination sometime later. So this way, what we want to do is we will return just the title, just the video ID from this function. By return, let's call this video ID. Let's make it a list here. Okay, and let's say video IDs dot append video ID. So once this loop is done, we will have a list of video IDs. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make use of one other API method, and that is called comment threads. Okay. So let me show it to you. So here you go. So this is the one that we are going to make use of, comment threads. Okay. Now you can talk about, like, if you go through common use cases, you will see that when and how it is to be used. So for example, if you want to retrieve all comments about a specified channel, this is the method that you can use. Or if you want to look for specific comments related to a specific video, so that is the method that we are going to use. All right. So I've just clicked on list comment ID, and we have this method here. So there is snippet and reply. Just to keep it keep a little bit simpler, I'm just going to go with snippet. Okay. Now we have to specify the channel ID. So we have the channel ID here. Okay. So this is my channel ID. Okay. And the next thing that we want to specify, in fact, we don't need channel ID because we are looking for a specific video, right? So if you're looking for a specific video, we don't need the channel ID. What we need is a video ID. So yeah, so one sample video ID they have already pasted in, but what we are going to do is we are going to make use of our own, okay. So I close that. So let me print the video IDs here. Let's run this code. Yeah, so I'll take any of the random video IDs, which is from my channel. Okay, I don't want OAuth, so I'll uncheck that, execute it, and there we go. So we have all the comments here. See, the text that is to be displayed is here. We have the author, we have the author profile image, right? The author channel ID is also available. So we have all this information, when it was published and when it was, if the person edits the comment, then it will be updated at as well. Can the person reply and so on. So these are all the data that we get, right? So if you click on show code, or code. So if I click on show code, so let me show it to you. So this is the code, right? So I'm going to take this complete code, okay? And let's come back to our code and paste it here. So we don't have to create YouTube again. In fact, let's run it inside this loop itself, right? And this video ID is something that we will take dynamically. So I'm just making up the, right. So let's run it only for, let's say, only one video. So 0 and 1, so only 2 videos. Okay. Or no, colon 1, that will mean it will run only for video number 0. So only for one time this loop will execute. Okay. So what this is going to do is it is going to request the comment thread, and it will supply only the video ID, right? And this will be the response. So we are going to print the response. Okay. So let's run this code. So now we can see that the same response that we had there, it has been printed here. And so for example, text that is displayed is amazing. So this is a simple 1 sentence comment here. Okay, okay. So text to display unable to scrape Myntra product details using Scrapy. So I don't know how to answer that, but yes, you can see that we have this comment which is also printed out. And because the text is very large, so that's why this string is broken into multiple lines. Anyway, so we'll handle that as well. So what we can do is, so what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to do some cheating here. So why I'm calling this cheating? Because I am copy pasting the existing code. Okay. Now, why I'm doing this? Because I'm doing it just to save the time. So you can see that to get the real comment, we have to look for item. Okay. So I've not used the loop here. Okay. So let's use the loop. Right. So for every comment, so I've used the enumerate here just because I wanted to keep a count, but that is not required. That will only confuse you. So I'm running a loop over all the comments. Okay. And I'm getting comment author, comment text, video ID, title ID. So all this is not required. Okay. So let's print author and comment text, for example. Let's run this. Let's see what is the output. So you can see that now we have everything, right? So you can see that Humayun, thank you. You have been a very routine, like you almost every video you leave a comment. So, and that too with some nice smileys and emojis. So thanks for that. So yes, so you can basically see that for the first video, all these comments were retrieved. Okay. And we have not specified the maximum. So here we said that, okay, max results is 50. And here we did not say max result 50 and so on. But anyway, basically this is the idea. Now, we can of course enhance this code, expand it, but why we are doing it? So what I'll do is I'll do a little bit of cheating here. Again, why I'm saying this cheating? Because I'm going to show you some ready-made code. Okay. So I created a Jupyter notebook. Okay. So this is the Jupyter notebook that I created. And this is using the same code that I have shown you here, right? So, I mean, just it is arranged a little bit differently. So I'm using a logger, right? So let's run it and see. So I'm using a logger here, okay? Then this line is actually not required. So I'm going to uncomment this, okay? Now, where is this API key? So this API key, I'm using a trick here. So this is my API key. So what I've done is actually I've created different functions. So this one is going to build the YouTube. This one is going to search the videos. Okay. So I'm just returning a response here and then I'm processing separately. This one is going to search the comments. This one is going to process the search response. Okay. So this, the same loop that I showed it to you just now. So it's over here. I'm doing the same thing with comments. Okay. And this is the code which this is where I'm actually executing the complete code. Okay. And HTTP error because I did not execute all of it. So let's cell run all above. Okay. So no, still I have an error. What is the error? HTTP error, valid API key. So I have not provided a valid API key. So let's use the API key that we have been using and stay around because I'm going to show you something useful. So to answer Eisenberg, your question, if you're still around, what we can do with the data. So no, I did not take the API key. I took the channel ID. So this is the API key. Right. So I'm going to execute this. So this is where I'm executing the entire code. Okay. And see, as you can see that it's printing some log messages because I've used some logging, right? So you can see that there are a lot of comments which are being fetched. So almost all the comments from my channel, they will be fetched. Okay. So what I want to do is, if we have time, anyway, so what we can do is we have received all the comments and at the end there was one 403 error. which, so I'm not going to go into that. The most important thing I want to verify is, do I have all comments.json file which I have created? Anyway, so what I did is I'm using some machine learning, sort of machine learning here. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm using NLTK, which is Natural Language Toolkit, right? So what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to download some stop words. So what are stop words? So basically what I'm doing is I'm analyzing this data as a text data, and I'm trying to figure out like what are the different keywords which are mostly used. So I'm creating a data frame here. Okay. So this is the comment text. Okay. And then what I'm doing here is, so these are the extra words. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting rid of request, errors, or for that matter, any word which is less than 3 characters long. Right. So I want to show myself because I want to talk to you. So what I'm doing here is I'm hiding all the words which are less than 3 letters long. So A, N, D, all these things are gone. So these are extra words which I found that they are not going to be useful, right? So this is the second thing I did. Then I cleaned up all those words, right? And then I'm using something called frequency distribution. So frequency distribution is nothing but counting the occurrence of any word. So for example, request, how many times this word request is appearing. So that is the counting. And then I'm creating a simple word cloud. Okay, so let me create a new one. So what is the benefit of creating this word cloud? So now this word cloud, at a quick glance, it is giving me a very good idea about what are the things which are coming up in my comments as a routine. So you see this selenium, which is largest. That means that more and more people have left a comment asking about selenium. They've sent a comment about request, JSON, then time, XPaths, file, then helpful web, YouTube. So like there are a lot of things, but just at a quick glance, I can see that what are the words which are coming more often in the comments. So this is a quick visual analysis of all the comments which are there on my YouTube channel. So this was just a quick demonstration of what you can do with how you can collect the data and what you can do with that data. So I hope you found this useful. So I'm going to clean up this code and I'll leave it in the comment section and in the video description. So it should be useful for you. So that's it for all. That's all for now, or that's it for today. I'll see you in the next time. Till then, bye and leave your comments. I do look at your comments.